God body is simple. It means you see God when you look in the mirror, and that the body of man is God, and that there's no mystery God in the sky. You are God.
Hey, welcome to another episode of The Anabolic Mind, where we try to give you the science behind why wellness is important to accomplish everything you're trying to accomplish, no matter what walk of life you're in. And with that being said, I got a very special guest, my man. Pleasure to have you on, Hawk Newsome. This is my guy, man. We go way back. Well, not that way back. What,
Right
6 years? 5 years? 5 years?
Yeah, it's been a
6 years.
minute.
Yeah. It's been a minute. Yeah, we've been rocking
Yeah.
for a minute. And Hawk Newsome is the man, Black Lives Matter, NYC. And we're going to talk about what he does, why health and wealth and fitness is important. And we're going to get into it, man. So, Hawk, brief introduction, who you are, what you did, your accomplishments, and why wellness is important to you.
All right, cool. Hawk Newsome, I'm the founder of Black Lives Matter Greater New York. We are one of the most notorious, no, we are one of the most recognizable Black Lives Matter organizations out there because we are unapologetically Black. We are quite revolutionary, and we don't hold any punches. We say what needs to be said. It doesn't matter whose feathers we ruffle. We just believe in fighting for the people in the way that they would fight if they had our platforms. Been doing this for like 6 years. I think me and you, Mark, we met when I was first like conceiving Black Lives Matter New York in my mind. I was an activist, but I was trying to figure out which way I was going to go. So that was a very critical time when we met. As far as health and wellness goes for me, like I always played ball growing up. I always played sports. That was like, we were playing football in the middle of the street in New York,
Mm-hmm.
wiffle ball, basketball. I played basketball throughout high school, played a little college ball, and it was always my release. I always say I would still be in the Bronx if it wasn't for basketball, being athletics. And now, as we get into the Black Lives Matter movement, we start thinking about, okay, tools of oppression, like what things are actually oppressing Black people. We cannot ignore health and wellness because the number one killer of Black people is, hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes. Those are the top killers, and these are all things that are avoidable. So it's if you're gonna be revolutionary in principle, you have to be revolutionary in practice. The Black Panthers did a good job of that. They set up healthcare centers in the communities, right? They taught our people how to eat and tried to give them, better options for food, and we embody that in our work. And I'm a yogi.
That's
I
what's up.
practice yoga. I meditate a lot, but it wasn't until really last year that I was like, okay, I got to get myself back in shape. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because we were getting a lot of death threats. Donald Trump called us treasonous and a bunch of things, and I was like, if people are coming and saying, and I got to know how to handle myself, you know.
Right.
So that was another way that health and wellness came into it. I had to learn self-defense tactics, things like that.
Right. And what type of experience was that for you, learning the weapons and self-defense? That was empowering to you. How did it make you feel as someone who was pretty much an athlete all their life, but then learn some martial arts skills and some technical skills? What was the difference?
It was funny because people I played basketball, right?
Right, right.
So a lot of people who study taekwondo, jujitsu, MMA, they're like, well, what are you learning? And I'm like, I'm learning how to get people up off of me,
Right, right,
right?
right.
So I can't give the ins and outs, but I know how to do things to get myself out of situations. I know how to defend
Right.
myself. We learned how to protect yourself when people are attacking with guns. Then we went out to Texas, and Texas really kicked my behind. We had a maniac trader by the name of Tactical Carl, who was
Yeah,
take us through
I
Navy
follow him on
SEALs
IG.
drill.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I gotta connect y'all
Yeah.
too. I gotta connect y'all. And I was doing these drills, and I looked at the footage from my cell phones, and I was like, Jesus Christ, how did I let myself go like this? You know what I mean? Like, even after I stopped playing ball, I could still dunk a basketball. I would never let myself get too far gone. You know what I mean? But I really just got caught up in the work and stopped working out. So getting out there and seeing how slow I was led me to do more to build my body. And, you know, it hasn't, I'm not gonna lie, it ain't been consistent. You know what I mean?
Right,
I
right.
just
But you're
jumped
conscious
in
of
it.
it.
Yeah, I'm conscious of it. And when you talk about confidence, I feel like I know how to handle myself now. Before in the past, you know, I would rely on my size. I'm 6'5", usually around 300 pounds. So I could grab people up and toss them. But just learning certain skills made me feel a lot better
Right.
of about how I would react if people came for me. So that was
Yeah.
good. And the weapons
It,
training is
right. It's
we
cool.
got to know how to handle ourselves, how to handle weapons. It's our
It's
job as yeah.
especially living in America, where there's
Mhm.
like 10 guns for each person or something like that, something crazy.
Yeah.
It's something to consider. You may be anti-gun, but it would behoove you to learn how to use a weapon in case you had to in certain
Yeah.
situations, whether you're pro-gun or anti-gun. But I want to get back to you were talking about how the exercise, the training, the martial arts empowered you and inspired you. And it's interesting because with my clients, instead of just doing cardio just to burn calories, like, walking on the treadmill or doing something, I always try to make it functional where they're doing some type of movement, some type of fighting. And they're like, Mark, well, I'm not trying to be a fighter. I'm like, well, doing a Jane Fonda running man is not going to help you in a real situation, but this is something where you could burn fat and learn to protect yourself at the same time. So, guys, if you're out there training and you're working out and you're getting into the gym, make sure you incorporate something that's actually functional, that's going to help you outside of the gym. That'll keep you in the gym because you're getting a benefit in both places. So I just wanted to harp on that. But I wanted to talk about health and wellness more as a revolutionary tool because, for
Hmm.
me, it's the overlooked component, because you got the kids like me, grew up in Brooklyn, picking out roaches out the cereal, eating the
Word.
cereal anyway. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then you're going to school, and probably the healthiest I think I got was maybe the school lunch, which was terrible at that
Word.
time, but that was
Yeah.
probably the healthiest meal. And then you're trying to absorb old dated books as your blood sugar's dropping. So it's just a recipe for. And then you find these kids now having all kinds of behavioral issues. They got to get on medication because they didn't have certain nutrients when their hormones were forming. So
Mm.
it's such a bigger problem than what people look at it. Like water has over 100 chemicals in it. Tap water. The average fetus is born with over 100 chemicals, including Viagra and Prozac, every day. You know what I mean? So these type of
Wow.
things, and of
That's a
course,
thing.
it's more detrimental in the hood because we're exposed to more toxins. So it's really. I
Hmm.
think we really have to make it much more of a like this is something that we need to do, not optional anymore, especially with the pandemic and all of that stuff. And I just want you to expound on that.
Well, when the COVID crisis hit, we were quarantined,
Hmm.
and I'm sure you experienced it too. We are people who like to be moving, like we like action.
Right,
We
right,
like to be
right.
serving people and
Hmm.
doing our thing. So
Hmm.
me in the house during COVID, I was going stir crazy, and then two things happened. One, we realized that the most impacted people were Black people, right? So we got active on the activism tip by petitioning the governor, holding press conferences to get resources into the South Bronx and into our communities. And then on a secondary note, we went out, we started raising money. We created something called the People's Food Program, and we started feeding 250 people a day. What we
Wow.
did was, I'm big on organizing, right? So
Hmm.
we bought voting information from the Board of Elections, right? And we just started cold calling. A lot of our volunteers didn't want to go outside and be outside. So we had them calling people and saying, hey, do you need anything? Do you need food? And we would deliver 250. We go to BJ's or Costco in the morning. We buy 80% plant-based food, right?
Wow.
So
Wow.
I think the only meat in there was like tuna, You know what I mean? And chicken when people donated it to us. But we buy enough groceries for the average person, you know, people from where we from the slums who know how to stretch some food out, that'll
Right,
last
right.
them 2 days, right? So we started giving people they needed food, but we were bringing them healthy food. And that became our routine during COVID. And then, you know, about 3 months into that, that's when George Floyd happened and everything like that.
And I saw you on Instagram doing that. And at the same time, I don't know if you recall, I was teaching free for the whole lockdown for
Right
people who
on,
wanted to
right on.
stay in shape because, you know, it was the pre-existing conditions that make us more susceptible to the effects of COVID. So
Absolutely.
again, we have to start looking at our wellness differently. It can't be like an optional thing because more and more strains are coming out. People are
Hmm.
anti-vaccination. You can't be anti-vaccination and anti-vitamin and anti-exercise. You can't. You cannot,
That's
people. I'm trying to
you
tell you, like
you
you're not living in
you're so
reality.
right.
Then you're not acknowledging anything about what's going on. So if you're
Hmm.
anti-vax, you better have your body fat levels below levels that's going to impact your immune system.
Yeah.
That would be my motion, my train of thought of thinking if I was not taking the vaccine, or even if I was vaccinated, because people are still getting infected. So it
This
really
is
doesn't matter.
this
It
the
really doesn't
reality
matter.
of it.
You
Yeah,
got to
and
cut
you I
the odds,
remember,
man.
yeah, I'm sorry. I
No,
remember
no.
you told me that because you know I don't care if people take the vax or if they don't. My concern is I hated these mandates, and you were like, "Hey, Hawk, okay, if you're gonna be against these mandates, and there's people looking at you for information, then you got to tell them what's real." And you gave me a list of things they could do, vitamins, and I shared that in my social media, and I think that's really crucial. We can't function without mindfulness, without help. You look at people who meditate, they're more productive. There's a lot of pain and trauma that comes along with being poor. So people need to meditate. When we start talking about foods and the poison that we're putting in our body, all these fast foods, that increases our anxiety, right? And we don't even realize it. So we're walking around like ticking time bombs looking for fights. There was a study at a prison where they introduced a healthy diet in the prison, violence dropped. Then they introduced in that same prison vitamins, violence dropped even more. So our
Yeah.
disposition, our abilities to function in this world have a lot to do with what we're ingesting.
Your cognitive functions, your ability to reason, your emotional state is so nutrition based. People don't even understand. They think it's because they're having a bad day or they zonk out in the middle of the afternoon. No, that's nutritional deficit. Or they're hungry.
Mm,
Damn, why am I hungry? Why after I just ate? Because the shit you ate didn't have any nutrients. So your body's still hungry. So you end up becoming obese or overweight, not because you're greedy, but because you're just not eating healthy. You know, once you eat healthy and you feed your body the nutrients it needs, guess what? You don't get hungry. People don't believe it, but when I put people on a program, they go, "Wow, I'm not as hungry as I used to be." I said, "Because you're feeding your body nutrients." So it's a whole and food, big part of the self medication process in the Black community. You know, because it's the only thing legal that you could do that no one says anything to
mhm.
you, but you still get the same type of drug release from eating some. You know, trust me, I grew up with a 45-inch waist. I don't know if you knew that. That's how I got into fitness.
Get
I
out of
started out,
here.
yeah, yeah, man. I started out with a 45-inch waist and big man titties, big ones.
Well, get out of here,
And
bro.
running home from school in Brooklyn, running home from Prospect Heights, and
Uh
I was
huh.
like, "Damn, I ain't gonna survive." And I ran past a recruiting station, and I
Uh
said, "You
huh.
know what? Maybe I could get in shape if I joined the military." So I took the test, and I scored high. And I was like, "Well, I'm too fat for the Marines. There's no way. I'm too fat for the Army. There's no way. But I
Yeah,
could go maybe Navy or Air Force." And the Navy guy said, "Yo, son, they got McDonald's on the aircraft carrier." And I was
he
17
told you
years
that.
old. That's what he told. And I swear to God, I signed. I said, "Word." And the Air Force guy was like, I was like, "Fuck you, man. I'm going straight." And just sign up, bro.
Yeah,
I had to get my
word
mother to
up.
sign permission because I was 17. And that's how I got in shape. And that was
That's
1988.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I was the type of kid I would buy now laters and put them on the radiator and heat them up and make now later sandwiches.
Yeah, make them nice and
Either one,
warm. Yeah, those
very nice
was
and
the
warm.
good old days.
I was that type of hood kid. But you know, I remember not being able to focus going to school, crashing in the afternoon, and then I was getting teased because I was overweight. Like, you know, it wasn't any fun. And you know, I really think it's so important. And then your self-esteem gets messed up. You want to lash out at others, you become abusive to other people, and it just turns into a whole cycle of behavior that could be avoided if you just was focused on nutrition and health and exercise, you know.
That's true.
Yeah, it's crazy.
My dad died on 7th heart attack, right? One of the reasons why I think I had my growth spurt was he had his first 2 heart attacks, and then they changed everything in the
Wow.
house. We started eating clean. You know, they started pulling all the skin off the chicken. There was salads, you know, we weren't sugary cereals anymore. Like, my father became a complete and total health nut. And I
How
was
big is your
around
dad?
maybe 9 or 10 at that time. My dad was 6 feet tall, and I think he was around 300 pounds.
So he was a big dude too.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, he was big, but solid. Like, he carried it like a offensive lineman. You know what I mean? Like the kind of big that you don't want to mess with. You know, you see some people, they big and they look kind of soft and roly-poly. My father was big and solid and mean. You know what I'm saying?
How about your mom?
It was funny because
where you get your size genetics from? Your mother, your mom, or your dad?
My father. My father was about 6 feet tall. All of my great uncles on his side are about 6'2", 6'3", and mother's short. My mother's like 5 feet tall. My man and her family are between 6'2" and 6'5". So they're, except for one little runty cousin who I can't stand. I'm kind of happy he's really short. But
that's funny. That's funny.
Actually, he's the most lethal dude in our family, man. He was Marine Corps, and he. Come on, man. He was Marine Corps. He did wrestling in high school, and he's been doing jiu-jitsu for as far back as I can remember. I remember going down to see him. I was on spring break in college, and he would take me with him to train. And I'm like, bro, you down here rolling on this mat for 3 hours. South Beach is right there.
Wow.
I'm not hanging out with you here when life is happening in South Beach, right? But part of me wishes that, you know, I would have got that training in from back then.
Yeah, but not too late. But let me ask you, what do you think, where do you see wellness or fitness or exercise integrating into your movement? Like, how do you see
That's
those?
Perfect. We're starting something called Black Opportunities. It's blackopts.com, if you want to check out the website. And we're kind of veering away from Black Lives Matter and creating something else. It's 100% based on community empowerment. So we're feeding people 3 times a week. We're holding workshops to teach people how to eat well, how to prepare their own food. Every activity we're going to be teaching, holding classes several times a week for kids and adult. Anything that you come in and do, you have to meditate before you do it, right? Before you try to fight this revolution or to build up the people, you have to take their health into account first, right? You need healthy soldiers. I'm not talking about overthrowing government, but what I'm talking about is being strong Black ecosystems where Black people do business with each other. Black people own their own schools and they teach their own children. I'm talking about accountability in our community. And your health has to be at the center of that. Your health, your spirituality. You know, I'm a Christian, but we embrace all faith. But that has to be at the center of it. So we are feeding people. We just gave away a few hundred turkeys. We gave away, you know, things for Christmas, food vouchers, $8,000 in food vouchers. People need food where we're from. People who feed them are the people they listen to, and that's usually politicians, right? So here we are giving out food, healthy food, and saying we don't want you to do anything but learn how to become a better, more unified people. So it with Black Opportunities, our health is at the center of it, which is, we kicked off officially about 2 months ago. And since then, I've dropped 15 pounds. Like, I
Hey,
can't run
man.
around preaching. Right on. I can't run
Yeah,
around
that's what's
teaching
up, man. That's
and
what's up.
preaching it and not embody it myself. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
good for you, bro. Good for you. So how you feeling? You
Right
dropped
on.
15.
Man, my back stopped hurting. I'm sorry, I'm gonna grab some coffee. Thank you,
Yeah.
baby. My back, bro. Police beat me up a few years ago, and they did some real damage to my back.
Mm,
And at my heaviest, my heaviest was 354, right?
right.
Once
Right.
I started getting up there, my back was so sore. When I got up, it would lock. Like in the morning, I couldn't even stand straight up. But my back feels good. I was with my fiance yesterday, and she was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Let me reach up and get that for you because you're back." And I'm like, "Nah, babe, my back feels
I could do
great."
it. Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's a little better on my knees. I feel more energetic. I feel more productive. My thoughts are clear and concise. So it's coming along. I got a long way to go, but it feels
Hey, but
good,
that's
man.
good. You're making progress. Congrats on the 15, man. And that's what
Thank you, bro.
always gets me. I've been training people for like 30 years now, and that's what keeps me hooked on training is your facial expression when you talked about the change in your body. To be a part of that with somebody. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's like, damn, man, you
Mm-hmm.
really help that person. You know what I mean? So that's why I
Yeah.
always, what I mean? It's always so good to be a trainer. I've never got tired. I've been doing this for so long, but to see that person, because sometimes you change people's lives, man. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. It's service,
Who get,
bro. The way
yep.
I'm sorry, the way
No, no,
you
no.
feel when you help people is the way I feel when I'm giving out food and when I'm
Right,
I'm getting justice for somebody. It's all
right.
service, bro.
Yeah,
Like if
yeah.
we not serving our humanity, not just black people, we not serving humanity, then what the fuck are we doing on this planet?
It's true. So with that being said, I want to talk about opportunities in the wellness field. Wellness now is the biggest field, and unfortunately, because of us being so unhealthy in the United States, not just African American, but the United States is the most obese country in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I think Great Britain has the second largest obesity budget. Following that, fascinatingly enough, I think is Saudi Arabia, which is
Really?
crazy because it's so small, but because they have so much
Uh-huh.
money, the indulgence. So it's fascinating
Opulence.
stats on that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The opulence causes the indulgence, and they just start going crazy. So for such a small country to have such a high obesity level, that's quite alarming. And they're going to have to deal with that later on, in
Mm-hmm.
generations, repercussions, high blood pressure, and whatnot. But talking about the wellness industry, because of that's driving it. And if people are looking for an occupation, I think after the pandemic, people are trying to get jobs that are rewarding, like doing something that you're doing something that I'm doing. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to encourage people to get involved in the wellness industry and make that a business, because a lot of times you can use that as a business to fuel your activism or your charity. So, guys,
Right on.
look for jobs that are helping people, you know what I mean? Instead of working for big pharma, work for a startup
Mm-hmm.
that's trying to find a cure for something. This way you feel better about your job, and the karma attracts you more money because you're actually doing something
Yeah.
positive. Yeah.
Absolutely. What I'm seeing a lot more of is people, you got more black vegans than I've ever seen before in my life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you got
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of black folk, and they're talking about Dr. Sebi and the alkaline diet. You have a lot of folks who are on the sea moss, and I know you had some vitamins out there, some
Hmm.
supplements out there. There are a lot of people who are doing that, which is super dope. I think one of the benefits of Donald Trump, yes, I said there were benefits of Donald Trump,
That's the first.
was he made the black people more conscious, right?
He did. He did. He
More
did.
conscious and more community oriented. So now you have a lot more black people who are like, you know, yeah, I made it, but here's how I made it. I'm
Hmm.
trying to
Hmm.
show you, be it real estate, be it crypto and tech, like health and wellness. There are a lot of black folks out here trying to help each other. My lady's over here. She just put chlorophyll in her water,
Oh,
and
she's on
I
it. Yeah.
don't, yeah,
Tell the queen that's at
I
peace.
don't know. Oh, Mark said peace. Right on. She said, hey, oh hey. But like, yeah, I ain't ready to make that jump. But you know, she got me on the supplements, so we doing the shakes in the morning. You know what I mean? She plays a
Mm-hmm.
good role. I think like for a lot of brothers, you know, having a strong woman or a strong partner and building, you know, that team, that
Mm-hmm.
camaraderie, and really going after life through that outlet. Look, it helped financially, it helps from a health perspective, it helps in so many different ways. I'd love to see a strong push of brothers getting serious about building their families and
Right.
building up their bodies. Like this is what these are the things we have to do, Mark. I can't I can't march forever, right?
Right.
Like I
Right.
was writing now, you know, I was journaling, and I was like, well, what do you want to do for the people? And for me, it's giving them empowerment tools, right? That's what lasts. You know, we could change some laws, we could get some cops held accountable, but if we start teaching people how to provide for future generations, how
Right.
to eat right, making workouts, family walks, or whatever you want to do, making that part of your regimen. These are things that get passed down, you know, throughout
Yeah.
generations. So we got serious responsibility.
We got to definitely change the habits, man. You know, we taking vacations. We don't even see the place we vacation at. We at the resort eating and drinking and sitting by the pool. And they
Guilty.
said, and they said, yeah, I went to Mexico. Did you really go to Mexico?
Yeah, or did you go to
Well,
Nobu? Did you go to Cabo or did you go to Nobu? Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
right,
So
yeah.
we gotta just start getting active, even in the vacations. You know, there's things like adventure vacations. You know, I'm a big
Hmm.
motorcyclist. You know, I try to do things that give me some type of activity without being in the gym, going hiking. You know, especially out here in California, you got to take
Hmm.
advantage of hitting some of these
I
hills
love
and
it out
Palm
here.
Springs and
Yeah.
Griffin Park and all of that stuff. The environment is conducive because then you're able to give that much more back. And I think that concept of grinding 24 hours until you die, like how we grew up, that was what it was. Like,
Hmm.
team no sleep.
Yeah.
It caused so
Yeah.
many problems with people now. During the pandemic, people got a little break. They're like, I don't want to go back to work now.
Hmm.
It's interesting. They want to find
Yeah,
jobs that
no.
give them fulfillment. It's a whole movement going on right now.
No, you absolutely right. Like she took me hiking up here. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I was like, first time I went up that mountain, I was like, God, dog. Like, and the thing was, it was, you know, I'm a very competitive person, and it was like some old people, but like, listen, I ain't trying to let them pass me. I don't care.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
ain't
yeah, yeah,
stopping
yeah.
because they are not passing me. And it was kicking my mind. And the bottom line was these old people are in better shape than me. And I can't go out like that. Like I used to, you know, I used to be in shape. I used to be good. And I think what last year really, I was just talking, my boy is an entertainment attorney, Josh Edwards.
Hmm.
He lives, you know, out here in LA. And he hired a trainer. He's getting right.
Right, right,
And I was like, last year showed me like the rest of my life could be misery if I don't get my life back right. You know, when I
right.
went
Yeah,
shooting and training in Texas, my knee was swollen for 2 months. You know, my back was hurting. It was hard. Like I could get out of bed, but you know, it was painful. Don't get me wrong. When it was like action, your body jumps in. Is I don't know if it's muscle memory or what, but when it's up, then your body is going to go how it
right,
needs to
right,
go.
right,
That's cool, but I need. I don't want to be in pain the rest of my life, bro. Like I want to
right.
be here long so I can fulfill my purpose, and part of that is paying attention and taking care of my body.
Yeah, yeah, it's so important for everybody because you want to get its longevity. You know what I mean? The longer you're functioning at optimal, it increases your chances for success. So
Right on.
if you got 20 years functioning at optimal, you pushing, you can get that much more money or be that much more successful as opposed to 5, then getting a knee
Hmm.
replacement or getting a hip replacement or going in for something else or getting on some type of medication. So yeah, it's definitely a good investment. Now I got a question for you. I've seen you in a lot of different interviews, but I always see that
Okay.
the Fox. I always see the Fox one. The Fox one is so ill. you, but what I wanted to ask you, I didn't want to ask you
Yeah.
about that because I just saw it the other day on
Yeah.
some random. It came up, so it was just in my mind. Like what do you want to say? Like, how are you misunderstood, or what would you like to say to people that they don't know about you? You would like them to know or get a feel from you. Just like in a non-competitive environment interview, like it's not hostile. What would you like people to know about you?
I'm gonna keep it real. Like, I wasn't a punk growing up, but I was a happy kid who loved everybody.
Right.
Like, I would just I literally give people the shirt off my back, right? And it was like growing up in the South Bronx, you become prey if you too nice,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the world kind of like made me tougher, like made me say, okay, this is the line. If that line is crossed, then I have to react in a particular way. You grew up in Brooklyn, you know what time it is.
Right.
And so for me, it's always been love. Like when I get out there and I'm fighting for people and they're being bullied. Perfect example. New Year's morning, I got a call 6 o'clock in the morning. Brother flipping out, screaming, they gonna kill me. Police at my door. I got my family in here. I don't know what to do. And turns out you'll love this. You're a bike guy. He had his new Harley Davidson outside, and some random dude is sitting on his bike. He don't know if he's trying to steal it or what. So this is
Well,
real New York.
That's a big violation. You can't sit on somebody's bike. If you're a biker, that's a big violation. Big violation.
Exactly. So he runs downstairs, and the guy gets off and runs, and he gets in his car, but his transmission blows, and he can't leave. But the cops are there for something else, and he tells the cops like, "Yo, this dude violated my property, right?" And the cop was like, "Well, he didn't take it." He was like, "Listen, if I go and sit in a car, it's an attempted theft. You'll arrest me. Treat me the same with my bike, right?" So the cops ignored him. He made a big fuss. He called internal affairs, and the next morning, right before he called me, they was at his door. Like, you messing with us, so we're gonna make your life hard. And I gave him some counseling. I gave him some advice. I pointed him to a good free legal defense lawyers in the Bronx, and they worked it out. Turned out he had warrants. You know what I mean? For like driving without a license, nothing major.
Nothing crazy.
But because he made a fuss, they were coming to take him for those warrants. Brother was bipolar, so if he would have flipped out, they would have filled him up with lead. So with that, right, the cops were using the law to bully him because they didn't want to do their jobs, and he called it on them. But I had the know-how and the abilities to protect him. You know what I mean? So this is where my aggression comes from, right? And it's protection of my people. So if you have some white supremacists or white supremacists were down in Charlottesville. You remember the big riots, and they're making all this noise and they're threatening activists. We went out there and wound up fighting with the activists. They were attacking. Most of the activists ran. We stood there and held the line. You know what I'm saying? I'm more likely to get hopped up and angry about other people than I am myself.
Right.
I'm kind of passive when it comes to me. I'll let things slide. Oh, it's not that big a deal. But when you're dealing with the people and you have this bureaucracy bullying them, then I'm on 10 all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, am I a violent person? No, but I believe that you should defend yourself, right? Do I believe that America is a violent country? Yes. So do I understand that America respects tough talk? Yes. So that's why I meet them exactly at a place exactly where they are, right? Because if we out here hold hands and singing and say, no matter how much you murder us, nothing is going to happen. That's what they want. The last thing they want is black people standing up saying, if you hit us, we're going to hit you back.
Right.
So they make me a villain. You know what I'm saying? They make me a villain. But at the end of the day, I'd much rather be feeding people and teaching people than marching any day of the week. right? This is a labor of love. Like I love my family, I love my lady, like I love my kids. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a labor of love. But I'll be damned if I'm gonna sit back and do nothing. And in 60 years, people will be saying the same thing that folks were saying 60 years ago. If
Right.
you look at the Panthers, I'm a follower of Malcolm X more so than Dr. King. If you look at those people, they were saying the same things
Yeah.
60,
60 years ago.
70
Yeah.
years ago
Yeah.
that we
Sure.
saying now. So it's up to us to break this cycle. And if I got to be a villain to do that, if I got to be perceived as a black radical revolutionary to do that, then so be it. Because you know why? When I walk in the Bronx, I get saluted, right? And I'm
Right.
not just talking about by young activists. I'm talking about 60, 70, 80-year-old people in our
Well, the
community,
old activists, because
babies.
they've been through it, you know.
Yeah, you know what I
They know
mean?
what it is. Yeah, they know what it is. So they definitely have to respect it.
Exactly. Long as the
I feel
people
you.
love me, politicians like, these foundations, they like, oh, that brother crazy. We ain't giving him
Right.
nothing.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right.
people don't give us funding, things like that. No, we out because what we do is real. What we do is really disruptive. If you have this system of white supremacy, it's actually going to fund you if you found an effective way to dismantle it.
Yeah.
There's no way in the world.
It's nowhere in the world. You're absolutely right. Hey, man. Thank you so much for coming on, bro. It's been a pleasure. Before we wrap up, I just
Right
want to
on.
give you the final word. Give these people something about why health and wellness is important and why you should factor it into your life.
Man, listen. When we start talking about when we start talking about health and wellness in our communities,
Hmm.
you have to understand that we have so much going against us. We cannot help this process, right? Um, we cannot help this process by poisoning ourselves. There are companies out there that are mixing foods and putting chemicals in foods to make you addicted. Most of us are addicted to sugar. Like there are things that we're putting in our bodies that's killing us. Um, we need to be healthy so that we can overcome, right? Like when you start talking, we shall overcome. We have to be liberated. At the center of that is our faith in God, our faith in whatever you may believe in, and our health. So it's time we start taking our health very seriously and doing it for the community. Before any of y'all want to go out and march and hold up a Black Lives Matter sign, I say you get together with your friends and you go and buy some fruits and vegetables and go into the communities and give that to people and tell them why they should be eating healthy, and then tell them about revolution and racism. But marching ain't it. March your ass to the supermarket, get some greens and some good food, and then march to the ghetto and give it to the people and give them food and give them knowledge.
That's
And
what's
this
up,
is
bro.
coming from a place of love. Word.
Hey, thank you, my man. Hey, Hawk
Hmm.
Newsome, I appreciate you, bro. Thanks for coming on. We want to get you back, man. And we got to get a workout in since you're in LA.
Let's do
we
it.
got
Let's
we got
do
to
it.
get one in. Maximum
Man,
respect.
listen, nah. You
Thank you,
you
man.
are the real deal. You gonna have to go easy on me, bro. You
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, we're gonna go
I
easy.
see your
Well,
Instagram, man.
the first session is always nice to trick you to come back. So you're guaranteed a great first session.
There it is. I like
Yeah,
that.
and the queen, you can bring the queen as well. I would love to
Oh,
rock with you
she
both.
loved
Get you
that.
guys in for a session.
She
Yeah, yeah,
loved
yeah.
that.
You tell her to come in.
Yeah.
It's all good, man. I'll see you in a minute.
Nah, cause
Peace and love, guys.
before we get out of here, she was
Yeah,
talking about coming with me. I'm like, nah, babe, he gonna kill me. I ain't gonna let you see me dying out there. You can come to third session when I get my window. You know what I mean? But she'll be happy to come for real.
All right. Hey, that's what's up, guys. Hey, we out. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're gonna talk after this. Peace and love, guys. Take
All
care
right,
of
back.
your body, man. Your body is the vessel that houses your spirit, guys. Peace and love. Take care. I'm gonna outro it, and we are gone. One.
Cast is brought to you by WINJECT Studios. We are an all-in-one educational platform for podcasters that revolutionizes how hosts leverage content to increase engagement with listeners, downloads, and income. We come together to focus on community, collaboration, and collective impact. For more information on how you can interact directly with our hosts, access exclusive live content with offers you can't get anywhere else from our official partners, join our purpose-driven community by visiting www.winject.com. If you're ready to build a career doing what you love, then we're ready to see you there.